Color science, the least important aspect of anybody's life, but we should make a whole video on it. Let's do it.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
The funny thing is, color is subjective. Some people like one color more than another. I like red shirts, red and black. Another person, there's skin types for clothes. My girlfriend told me about it. There's types of people that I'm a bold type. I'm a type 4, I think. I forget the numbers. Don't quote me on any of this. But like, I look better in black or red, striking colors, whereas some people do better in pastels. Like if you've tried on a shirt once and looked like that don't look right, I look weird. It's because of this. Science. Speaking of science, well, hello to you. Did the image just get worse or better for you? Panasonic S5. That was the Sony a7S III. Nobody cares. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because this is my opinion on most pleasing colors for me and my bold ass freak personality. So like next to each other, S5 on your right, Sony a7S III on your left. They're not even in my top 4 of the 6 companies. That kind of gives it away. Oh boy, that was bad. That was a bad move. Do you prefer one? Because I do. Initially, I thought I liked the Panasonic more because in HLG, my colors were off in the Sony, but Sony gives you hip hop colors. They're cooler to me than the Sony or the Panasonic pink face. Like I eat too much pork, which I do, but that's fine. Bacon's good. It's a health food now. You've lived in the past too long. Wheatgrass juice, no more. It's pork. Pork. I made that video not long ago making fun of color science because I get so many comments from people like, what's up with the magenta shift in your nose today? Oh my God, why do you have green shadows in your back behind you? I can see it. Like, what are you even paying attention to when you watch a video? I don't even see the things you're seeing, like, oh, you're so green today. It's like, I thought it looked fantastic today. So let's talk about my least favorite color science for some reason. And it swings both ways. Sometimes it's the best for me. I'm like, wow, look at those colors. Other times I'm like, why is my face that color? It's not in real life, and I can't grade it, and it annoys me. Panasonic comes in last place, sometimes third. I say this with the S5, I think they improved their color science a bit. I may be mistaken on that, so don't quote me on that. You better have latched onto me. I feel like they tweaked some things, not bad, but on the G9, which let's switch to the G9, something weird happens in HLG and I don't know how to fix it, and you better help me or we'll never fix it. Hey, Panic Boy. Oh, we have shifted. Oh, the drama. So we're in 4K now. We were 1080p on both the Sony and the S5. I don't feel like searching in the menus for that bullshit. We're at 4K. Color signs. Oh, I love it. Sometimes, like on the screen right now, I'm like, that looks fine. That looks pretty accurate. So don't listen to anything I'm saying in this whole video. Panasonic colors are spot on. I just remember from my G85, it was always like my red shirt was orange and my face looked weird. And outside, the HLG does strange things that I could probably overcome with training and heart, but I don't. I do not. So Panasonic, you are dead to me. Mainly your color science sucks and your autofocus disappoints the world. Even though it's performing so perfectly right now. Oh, the wide angle shot is so dramatic. Let's move on. Panasonic, you suck, but I love you so much. In 5th place, we have the Sony. Now, in my opinion, they are improving. Their a7 III was just straight up weird, although in HLG, I tuned it where it was almost nice straight out of camera. I barely needed a tweak. I think a couple more tweaks in there, it's a straight out of camera genius cam. Little red in the face, little tomato area, but we highlight down that. Now don't get me wrong here, when I'm filming on the Sony, I like the image. It's just when I compare it side by side, I see it now. It's like, oh, how come I'm so much more yellow in the Sony? And then I'm like trying to tweak it to get it to look like the Fuji or the Panasonic. I'm like, how? What the? But in general, over the time of the videos I've made, I prefer the Sony hip hop colors. on my little Sony X3000. I prefer those to the GoPro colors. Like, Sony knows what to do, I think. And they're getting there. It's just, I think they're trying to match Canon or do something weird, and they're doing it in the wrong way. And they're not quite there yet. Maybe the A7S5 will get it finally. Now in fourth place, and if you haven't noticed, we're going from the worst to the best. And we've got rid of the scrubs. Now we're talking about Nikon, filming on a GoPro for some reason, because I don't have a Nikon camera. I left the closet door open when I got the GoPro handle. When I got the Nikon Z50, I thought at times it looked pretty good, but when I got into the shade, it just got weird and terrible, and it did it every time. And it just doesn't look right. At times it looked okay. In the studio, I preferred the Olympus. There's potential. They're trying to compete. I need to test the Z6 Mark II from Canon anytime now. You just let me know when you're ready to ship it. I'll be here. I ain't going anywhere. I've asked. It's not available yet. So maybe their full frame best of the line could persuade me to change my thoughts. But they're not the best, because I've seen what happens when the clouds come. The clouds come over your heart. Often side by side, Nikon and Canon, I usually lean towards the Nikon. I'm like, oh, that looks better. So they have potential. It's just from what I've seen with the Nikon Z50 vlogging out on the street like a scrub, it faltered. So let's move on to our favorite camera of number 3 abilities. My God, Fuji, what have you done? How many have you swept off their feet and taken back to your cave to feed them dinner? A lot. Now there are times where Fuji's number 1 for me, but usually in the side-by-side comparisons, I notice the other two I prefer slightly. But Fuji, you got it. You might just have improved on the GoPro we just saw. Slightly. The autofocus. Right now we're in F-Log. We're on the 23mm Tony 2. And I usually just put the F-Log to Eternal LUT. That's the official LUT on Fuji's site. And I'm happy with it. They have 4 LUTs. One of them is like just the 709. That's what this is. It's barely different. Here we are. They have the bleach bypass. There's situations where I need this a lot, but I prefer the Eterna way of life. Eterna's just beautiful. It's got high dynamic range look, skin tones. Fuji masters it. It's beautiful. Now what I'm noticing about color science in general, it very much matters on your white balance. That's everything. In fact, throw this whole video out and just replace it with fix your damn white balance. I was gonna swear. I didn't. I'm kid friendly now. No, I'm not. Monetize me, YouTube. So far for each camera, I've been manually adjusting the white balance with Gerald Undone purple plates now available in the shop down below. They're not available, but I just wanted to make Gerald Undone jealous, even though the Fuji didn't latch on with the autofocus. How does Gerald Undone not own these? They're Tesla purple plates. It's hippie shit. I don't know if they do anything. I don't make money off you purchasing them. I just think Gerald Undone needs to buy a whole slew of these. They're supposed to increase your energy and purify your water in hippie ways. Let's move on. So I white balance, I'm joking. I white balance with the gray card, because that's how you should do it. Oh, it's for exposure. Middle gray your ass, bitch. Quick side note about white balance as we perform on the Sony a7 III with Voigtlander 35mm Tony 1.2. Definitely in focus. I definitely nailed it. I could have. In auto white balance. That's the thing I love about why I rank these cameras. Some do auto white balance better than others, and then the colors are so much better. I find Panasonic makes things too orange because of the white balance. Sony does the same thing. It's too warm. Whereas like Olympus and Canon seem to nail that aspect, so it makes life easier. You can't bring that gray card out in the field. Are you kidding yourself? Sure, it does fold up in a pocket. That's why they made it. And this is straight out of camera, like I mentioned earlier, how or later in the video, I don't know where that came in. But Sony a7 III with HLG looks pretty good straight out of camera. That S was harsh. I'll leave. So side by side with the Panasonic S5, you should see why I prefer the Fuji way of life to the Panasonic. Do you see it? Do you prefer one or the other? They're both manually white balanced with that gray card. Exact. It should be exact. It's just the color science inside should change. If we change to the G9, do you see it still? HLG, did that fix or worsen the S5's hopes of getting a date? I think I still would prefer the Fuji, which is why they're number 3 on my list, and Panasonic's dropped dead last. 7th place out of the 6 companies. That's fine. Is it better than the GoPro? That's up to you to decide, not me. It's amazing, the GoPro, in native color balance, because I know how to fix that, for sure. And next to the Sony, is it better? I think I prefer the Fuji colors to the Sony, which is why it's higher on my stupid list. That makes no sense. Let's move on. Now, I almost forgot about possibly the leader of this whole thing, Samsung, because they don't make cameras anymore. So I always forget that I have it on my bottom shelf, even though it's the best camera ever made. I think I placed this one under the Fuji, if I'm being honest with you. Side by side, I think Fuji just edges it out, but barely. Samsung's glorious, so sorry for not mentioning you. Get back in the game with an NX2? Oh, could you imagine it? I wish. So, number 2 on my list. We gotta give it to them. They own it. They invented color. Canon. They have great color science, except the R6, which for some reason they crippled it. It's like, oh, let's just remove the reds from that for some reason. The R5, I would have bought it. I tried to justify it. I was like, I love these colors outside. It was like, when it was exposed right, I was like, there it is. That's the camera right there. The wobbly IBIS, the overheating, the impossible to play files. You gotta get the M1 Apple machine. You gotta change your whole life just to edit the files. It's bullshit. How's the Samsung autofocus performing? Hand detect autofocus, never fails. This is why people put up with Canon's bullshit, because it looks so good. It really does. The colors, it's just like so natural looking. I don't know what they do. It's like, look how much healthier I am. It takes 10 years off your life. It really does. Every time I see a comparison, I'm like, you look healthier in the Canon. You look younger and healthier and better. Canon knows you. It knows what you want. Forever young. I wanna be forever young. I have crow's feet wrinkles growing. Help. So give Canon credit where credit is due. They at least have a good look to their image, and I wish I had it. I wish the Sony had Canon colors, but they don't. You could replicate it with matching systems of knowledge, but I can't. So Canon, you deserve your 2nd place pig ribbon in your farm of lies. Just pin it right on that shirt of yours. Now let's talk about the champion of the color world. We used to watch black and white TVs until this company came and went out of business immediately. We've reached it, the pinnacle, the mountain, the summit. We're at it. We're at it. The Olympus way of life never lets you down unless you're talking about exposure right now. I have no idea what I'm doing. There's no zebras in here. I was like panicking. I checked what auto ISO would be. It was way brighter than this, I'll tell you that much. So I knocked it down a notch using my intuition. We've nailed perfect exposure. And I took off the picture mode, whatever the hell that was. So we're not in flat or log, we're in Olympus's color science. This is probably straight out of camera. If it's not, I'll let you know. But whenever I see an Olympus file, I'm like, there it is. There. And I will say this for Canon. Let's look at them side by side. They're almost identical, which is why I think I like Olympus colors so much, because they're like Canon colors. I don't know who did it first. Who came up with their company first? Was it Olympus or Canon? Who was the first company ever? Pentarch? I bought one. Now, if I'm being honest with you, just looking at the screen, it looks harsh on those highlights. Overall image quality is not what we're talking about here. It's just the colors. They look nice. When I look at my skin, I'm like, that's accurate skin. There's the slight redness in my face. I have blood. There's pink hues that aren't Panasonic pink, but like friendly pink. They combine Sony's hip-hop coolness with like actual healthy skin of a Canon. So like they're the best of all worlds, in my opinion. Olympus, the top. And I rate them higher than Canon just because they're a tinier sensor. They're the underdog, same basic look. Sure, half my face is shadows, and this is too bright, but it's user problems. Oh, we fixed. That's all I had to do. If my table was out 1 inch, that's the only thing. Wow, what a difference an inch makes. That's what she never said to me. She said, "Oh, Olympus, when will you come back in business? I'm making a mess back there." That's a mess. That's a hot mess. A lot of cameras. How am I going to edit this footage? I don't even know which file did what. So I know Pentax and Leica exist, but I've never tried a Pentax. Maybe they have the best color science. Who knows? They don't even do video. It's like 1080p, 30p max. No autofocus. I want one. I want to try the Pentax K1 Mark II with a wide lens. It could be the best vlogging camera ever made. I wanted to... So to recap here, side by side, Panasonic S5 versus Olympus. Does Panasonic die a sweet death? I believe it does. Panasonic G9 with this same lens, we're on the Leica 12mm Tony 1.4. Is it better? I do believe it is. You died, Panasonic. Is it better than the GoPro? We know it isn't. Nothing is. Nothing can compete with the GoPro native white balance that I definitely fixed. Fuji. It's close, but I think Olympus has the edge, doesn't it? A little bit. Maybe not in dynamic range or image quality, but just colors of my face and the penny of pony hope. That wasn't English. Let's move on quickly. Nobody noticed. The Sony? Olympus? Look who you just destroyed. A $75 million camera, and you didn't even flex your muscles to do it. Olympus, you're special. I went out of order. I went out of order on that. Canon colors, we've already seen the side-by-side. Outside, Olympus wins. Olympus destroyed the R6 out in night. It focused better, less noise, better noise reduction capabilities. Oh man, I am honestly excited for an Olympus EM1 Mark IV with a way different name. A new line up there. Just a V1 Mark 17. And I'll buy it. And that Olympus 12mm Tony 2 lens. I might still get that one from Calgary. He lowered the price. Some guy offered to send it to me. He's like, I'll buy it and then mail it to you, you pay me. I was like, I should. I saw one for $650 here. It's overpriced. There's a tiny Tony 2 lens for $650. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna leave. My Zeiss was almost that. No, that was $850. That's a Zeiss. I'm gonna go. Let me know down below. Maybe I'll do a poll. I should have mentioned that earlier. Vote for your favorite color science of today, at least in my living room. Let us know. And thanks for buying a Panasonic Pony of Hope t-shirt. Subscribe for more videos.